We have been 3D printed, our consciousnesses implanted into rigid shells that look approximately like we used to, but at least we're here in the real world again. Is this our liberation from our digital confinement that is legally distinct from both the Matrix and Tron? Or is this only a temporary fix? One thing we know for sure, this is vaguely scientific. This is Vaguely Scientific, and I am Derek. The code phrase, starting in episode 187, is "This is Vaguely Scientific," and my co-host, starting in episode 1, is Jim. Hi, Jim.
I've been here for a bit.
Yay! The transmission is concluded, but our guest this week is just getting started. Please welcome back Mark.
Hacking into the system. This is Mark.
This is Mark. Mark.go.
Mark.horse.
Yeah.
Mark.horse. Well, this is the show where listeners send in questions to hear our vaguely scientific answers, and who knows, we might even get some of those answers right. But first, it's time for the fun science fact of the day. Jim?
All right. Helicoprion was a shark-like fish that lived during the Permian period. It had what is referred to as a tooth whorl, which was a spiral-shaped lower jaw that kind of resembles a buzzsaw. There's still some debate on how this creature used that jaw, but leading theories are that it was able to push prey deeper into its throat while puncturing it repeatedly. Or maybe it was that the jaw was used to break up shells on things like ammonites.
Interesting. See, I would have assumed that was just something from a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
It sure sounds like one, doesn't it?
What a weird design for an animal.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll definitely put a picture of this thing in the show notes, but it kind of just looks like something that a 6-year-old would draw. Which is not a knock against it necessarily, because 6-year-olds come up with some pretty creative animals, but...
Well, that's fair. Before we get into our first question this week, there is something I want to clear up in a segment we like to call Stuff We Got Wrong and Actually Bothered to Look Up Later. This one goes back to episode 180, Sonic Breathes Carbon Monoxide. That's the title, that's not what we got wrong. But I mentioned a quotation and couldn't remember who to attribute it to. The quote was, "You can't debunk a myth with anything as mundane as facts." Though I think I paraphrased it to make it to apply to conspiracy theories specifically. This quotation was actually from Ross Barnett, a researcher at Durham University, and taken from a 2017 National Geographic article called "Yeti Legends Are Based on These Real Animals DNA Shows," in which they found evidence of a new species of bear living in the Himalayas based on reported sightings of Yetis. Upon learning this, the people who reported those sightings of Yetis insisted that the Yetis were still out there in addition to the bears. And we actually talked about this on the show back in episode 9, which was titled A Fractal of Horses. So it bothered me that I couldn't figure out who to attribute that quote to, so I wanted to touch on that again.
It has been a bit.
Those have some really good episode titles.
I think we do a good job with these titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no debate there. But speaking of debates, I had to set myself up for that one, but it's fine. I think we should tackle our first question this week, which is, are roundabouts or intersections better? And I do want to start off by saying that while intersections are possibly better in cities, in and around the lake, mountains come out of the sky and they stand there. Roundabout. It was it.
No, I got it.
Okay, cool.
I was thinking about that song all day. I won't lie.
I figured it was going to come up, so I just wanted to get it.
That is a big point in Roundabout's favor.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think.
Agreed.
Yeah, I figured somebody was immediately going to say yes, and then there was a title. Yeah. Well, the other flip side of that argument is intersections are better because Murica. I don't know.
I mean, we've got they're up and coming here in the States.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them that are showing up near me, especially in areas that are recently being developed. And one of the things that I was reading about that I thought was really interesting was that in areas that don't have roundabouts, they will poll people and they will say, okay, you know, how many of you are in favor of the roundabout? How many are you opposed? And they found that before the roundabout, it's about like only 30% of people think the roundabout is a cool and good idea. And then after the roundabout is built, and they give it like a month or two, by that point, that number has gone up to around 60 or 70%.
Wow.
Because basically what they're seeing is that at first, when you don't really understand how the roundabout works, then it kind of intimidates you or it makes you, you know, a little bit confused. And then once you actually learn how the roundabout works, then it's like, oh, this is great. This is fine. No problem at all. And I thought that was really interesting because here in the United States, for the longest time, we have not really had that many roundabouts. And now they are starting to crop up.
I think that's fascinating because I was trying to read both sides of the debate, like pros and cons for both. And I was getting a lot of the impression that a lot of times it is similar to the imperial versus metric argument where like people who defend imperial just don't want change. And that's not entirely the entire argument, but I feel like that's the common perception of the argument, I guess, at least what I was finding.
Right.
Often in science and engineering advances, I find that the older methods, which may be less accurate or they may be less efficient, are preferred because they are more understood, maybe easier to use.
Yeah, they're familiar.
Yeah, I mean, when they originally made maps of the globe, it was with supposition that the Earth was at the center of the solar system. And people kind of came to understand that the sun was probably at the center of the solar system, but they continued to use the old maps because they were more worked out. They were more familiar with them. They were sometimes more accurate. The science hadn't quite caught up to, like our understanding hadn't quite caught up to reality, I guess.
Well, I've definitely heard of using an Earth-centric model for certain things. I don't think it's as common anymore, but there were like specific reasons to do it. And it's similar to if you are exploring one of the poles.
Yeah.
Like if you're exploring the North Pole, it's difficult to navigate just saying north-south because there's if you're at the North Pole, every direction is south. So they do actually have regional, what is called localized north on maps of the North Pole region. So that can be something that is useful. Like it depends what purpose you are using the map for.
I think with roundabouts and intersections it's kind of similar, like you were saying with metric and imperial.
Yeah, you roll up to a stop sign and everyone knows what a stop sign does and how it works.
Right.
And if you've gone through driver's ed and you were paying attention, then you know at a four-way stop, it is whoever is there first gets to go next.
Yeah.
And, if you both arrive at the same time, it's the person to your right that gets to go. And so because we know all of those things and we were taught them when we were around about 16, it's stuff that we've internalized.
Yeah. I have a section in my notes about the difference between intersections with and without traffic signals. Or traffic lights, rather. Because in my research into this debate, was just working under the assumption we're talking about traffic lights. And then it took me a little bit to be like, oh, wait a minute, we're talking about just intersections.
Yeah.
And so I wrote down I'll quote this from my notes. Four-way stop signs confuse people. They shouldn't, but they do.
Oh, I'll tell you what else confuses people that shouldn't, and that's actually one of the points I made in my notes. Because I was looking at It was the IIHS, which apparently is the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. I never knew what that actually stood for, but I've heard of the organization. And they had a long list about things that arguments for and against roundabouts. And a lot of this stuff is cited from the Federal Highway Administration. But one thing they pointed out that I was like, oh, yeah, that's really a good point, is that for intersections that have stoplights, if you put in a roundabout, there is no longer a stoplight. So if the stoplight breaks down, or if the power goes out, or if like you don't need to service a stoplight anymore. That's a good point. And boy, people sure do not know how to treat a stoplight when the power is out.
Yeah, you treat it like a four-way
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm reading, the primary pro for roundabouts is safety. Kind of seems to be above every other pro. And so eliminating severe right angle collisions, lowering vehicle speeds.
Yep.
And statistics show that even if drivers are initially unfamiliar with them, they're pretty easy to figure out. Statistics do show that there are dramatic drops in serious injury and fatal accidents because even when crashes do occur, they're not at 90-degree perpendicular collisions.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to get in a head-on collision in a roundabout unless somebody has done something tremendously incorrect.
True.
Yeah.
They're driving through the little park in the center.
So I did try to look into the pros of an intersection because what I was finding was a lot of places I was reading seem to be in favor of roundabouts. They seem to be becoming more popular all around. And so I wanted to hear the counter to that. And so I looked at some of the most complex roundabouts in the world. And there are things called magic roundabouts.
What?
There are two examples, one in Swindon and one in Hempstead. I'm not entirely sure where that is, but I copied it off of the internet. But there is a 5 mini roundabouts surrounding one central one, or there are 6 mini roundabouts surrounding one central run. And you can look up images of these, Magic Roundabout in Swindon. It should be the first thing that comes up. We can put a picture of it in the show notes. They are kind of famous for their intricate design. And if you look at it, it looks like it would confuse drivers to, know exactly what to do. But claims are that they are still statistically safer because they encourage people to slow down and consider where they need to drive to. And that's the point where I remain skeptical, because I have seen people driving in unclear and complex traffic situations, and I have seen people panic very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's surprising to me. I don't want to say I'm going to argue with the data, but it's surprising to me that they are finding people are taking to it, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I did see that was because, well, I should preface this by saying I found out there's something that is different that is called a traffic circle, which is not the same thing as a roundabout, because a traffic circle is a circle, but you approach the circle at kind of a right angle to the circle. So that you'd like drive up and there's a stop sign, you'd turn right and you'd end up in the circle.
Oh, I have seen that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's interesting because I never really thought about the difference there, but those are different than a roundabout, because a roundabout, you sort of yield and then you merge into the circle without ideally stopping, unless you have to yield to an oncoming car.
Well, that makes sense.
But then what you were saying about like the magic roundabout, so it's like, oh, that's like a whole, like a step up from that even, where
it's a lot of
really
lane
complex.
changing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fascinating.
So some of the actual pros to intersections are that they conserve space. Roundabouts actually take up much more space. An intersection would be just, 2 roads crossing each other.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the pros of intersections come from, if you're thinking ignoring roundabouts, looking at just 2 roads converging, a 90-degree intersection is safer because it doesn't favor one entry over the other.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, if you have a high traffic area, in addition to conserving space, like in a grid-based city, you can also control pedestrian traffic in addition to vehicle traffic. So it's easier for pedestrians to cross a single road than it is for them to walk across an entire circle of roundabout.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's actually interesting because I saw a point where they were saying that pedestrians actually might have an easier time of it because while they would have to go around the whole circle, anytime they crossed a road, the traffic is all going to be one way where they were.
That's true.
So I guess it's probably pros and cons for both in that sense with the pedestrians.
Yeah, I feel like space is probably the biggest contributing factor there. Because, like, we have also said intersections in a big city, you could potentially build walkways over them, but then that, of course, is a big infrastructure thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that you've gotten all the fancy science and statistics and safety studies out of the way, let's talk about the metaphorical qualities of a roundabout versus an intersection.
Okay.
Okay, so you can meet the devil at an intersection and bargain for powers, which you can't do at a roundabout.
I wouldn't consider that a pro.
Here's the question. Okay. Well, now, so a roundabout is a circle. What if you went inside of the middle of the roundabout and just drew a big pentagram? Then what?
Okay, I think a liminal space, I think, requires a threshold. And I think a roundabout by its nature is designed to eliminate a threshold, whereas converging right angles, when you're standing in the center of that, you are kind of you are on the threshold of different worlds, right? Whereas if you're in the center of a roundabout and you just look around, I think that's more like, I don't know, anything can be that. It's like just a panorama, you know?
Yeah.
It's not separate.
I'm inclined to agree with Derek here, though. It's like, I don't know if I want to meet the devil. I think I'm good.
There is a thing from fairy lore where right angles deter the fae because they're too orderly, and so circles invite them, which is why, like a fairy ring, if you find a circle of mushrooms, there's an old myth that if you stand in a circle of mushrooms, you may be taken by a fairy creature. But so right angles are too logical.
So you're in a small town in Scotland, and you're surrounded. The town is surrounded by right angle intersections to deter the fae from invading. And a fancy pants construction person from London comes up and says, "We're going to put a roundabout in here." And all the elders of the town are like, "No." You think it's because they're fuddy-duddies and they don't understand the safety, but no.
That reminds me of like. That's similar to the theme of like Hot Fuzz, where it turns out there's this like secret order of like cultists that are in charge of the town or something. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I do want to throw one more thing in there, which I guess steps away from Mark's wonderful contribution to this conversation. But
please do.
There is something called a hamburger roundabout. Which is a big roundabout with a road going straight through the middle. So if you just want to go from one side to the other, you can take that straight shortcut, basically.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But doesn't defeat the point?
Safe.
Yeah, it doesn't seem safe at all.
Well, I mean, I assume there are specific examples where it does make sense. But I just like that it is referred to as a hamburger, because if you look at it from an aerial view, it looks like a drawing of a hamburger.
Right. I one of the things I thought was really interesting was just the idea of all the cool things you can do with the center of a roundabout.
Yes.
Since you brought up the hamburger version where it's just another road in the middle.
Yeah, more roads.
But yeah, I mean, because it's something you can landscape. You could plant like a little garden there.
Yeah.
I've seen roundabouts where they put like statues in the center and things like that. So I think it's kind of neat because, I don't know, there's something so sterile about just an intersection, but then you can have like, flowers or like a cute little, decoration or a fountain or something.
You could have a statue of Robert Johnson shaking hands with the devil.
Yeah.
In the center of a roundabout.
And then at the bottom, you can be like, now this don't happen no more.
Preventative measures.
Yeah. Look what we've done for you. One thing that I did see that I thought was a really cool notion is just that it does alleviate a lot of traffic stress.
Yeah.
because you are not stopping fully at a,
Yeah.
and even if you're yielding, I mean, you're not going to be stopping for very long and taking turns. It's like you were kind of getting in and getting out, and it makes it so that the four-way intersection is a little bit more rapid fire, I guess you could say, which I think is great because sometimes the four-way stops in my area, they really get backed up.
Yeah. I've also read it cuts down on idling and therefore pollution.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
It is interesting that they're statistically safer, but they're also faster. Yeah, I would expect. Well, they get you to slow down, right? But they don't make you stop completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have visibility too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of in that sense, it reminds me of a street / sidewalk construction concept called the chicane, which is just a sort of little turn in a sidewalk or a street or something that is deliberately designed to make you slow down. And you see these a lot in neighborhoods, I've noticed, because what happens is that for the longest time in a neighborhood, there's just a nice straight road, and it's dangerous for some reason. Maybe a lot of people get into accidents there, or pedestrians are getting hit. And so what they'll do on a pre-existing road, I've noticed, is that sometimes they'll put a bunch of like concrete stanchions or bollards or whatever they're called, and kind of make it come out and then go back in. And you have to go around them. And in order to go around them safely, you have to slow down. And that's kind of what a chicane is. And I think a traffic circle works much the same way, where you're going straight and then you have to slow down. You don't have to stop necessarily, but you do have to ease into this turn. And I think that's a really clever way of controlling traffic without making it into a traffic jam.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love chicanes, mostly on racetracks.
Is that at all related to the word chicanery?
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. I believe they share the same root.
It comes from the French word chicanerie, meaning, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that, meaning trickery. I could see that. I'm not seeing any confirmation on that specifically, but I could see it being like you have to sidestep something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always thought it was so interesting. There's a plaza by Derek's house, not mine anymore, but they renovated the plaza like 25 years ago or so. And when they renovated it, they put they extended the sidewalk out into the street in some places. And for years, I was like, why in the world would they do that? Because now you have to go around this bump in the sidewalk. And it's because they're chicanes. And I get it now.
Did either of you research what's safer for like cycling?
No, I did not see anything.
From what I was reading, intersections tend to be because they can have like specific lanes and traffic stopping gives an opportunity for cyclists to move. But yet again, I remain skeptical.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I know that research into bike safety and safety for bicyclists on the road is for some reason seems to be a very new phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's like bicyclists have been biking for over a century, and we are only just now learning what would make them safer.
Well, it is pretty recent that I know in Pittsburgh there is a big push to make bike lanes everywhere. And I've heard that that's happening in other major cities, that they're trying to get people to ride bikes more. And as like a primary use of transportation, I suppose. Like, so they want people to commute on bicycles.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about it, but you know.
Mm-hmm. I know that bike lanes have been beneficial in my area, but a lot of people who don't bike are very upset about this. In much the same way, I presume that people who don't use roundabouts are unsure if they would want to ever use one.
Yeah, that's fair. I did think it was interesting that you pointed out the traffic circle, because everywhere that I was thinking near me, where they've put in what I called a roundabout, is actually more that. And that feels like an intersection, but you can only turn one direction at it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's not really what a roundabout is. So that's interesting.
Yeah. There's a couple roundabouts near me, and I just kind of get a kick out of driving through them.
There's a few in the city up here in upstate New York and like Schenectady, Albany area, and they seem to work very well. But in the rural areas, I think we do have more traffic circles, and I think that might actually be what most people around here don't like, the traffic circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And looking into what a traffic circle is, I was like, I think this would be really confusing for people.
Yeah.
So what it really kind of boils down to me after hearing all these perspectives is it does seem that the big debate boils down to trading the devil that you know for the devil that you don't, mainly because of the whole Crossroads. I thought it was funny. Okay.
Yeah, that's funny. That was very good.
I also wanted to say, as the last note I have on this topic, that while I referenced the Yes song Roundabout, I also had to verify there is a song that I found called Intersection by a band called Modern Baseball. They were an emo band that were active from 2012 to 2017. I know nothing else about them, but I wanted there to be a competing song. So there it is.
When that song gets a sudden spike of 1 million plays on YouTube, you'll know they got the vaguely scientific bump.
Yeah.
I'll wonder why those 1 million people aren't actually listening to this show also.
Yeah, it's really rude of them to only listen to the 3-second soundbite of Derek talking about this song and then going and looking at the song, and then that doesn't count on our metric.
Yeah, they're like, oh, that's all I needed from this show.
I think the bottom line is that what I want all of our listeners to go out and do is learn how to drive on the road.
Yes,
follow
please.
the rules.
This whole thing was just a vent. It was just us ranting. Please learn to drive.
I imagine our listeners are terrific drivers, but you need to educate all the people in your sphere because, boy, howdy, there are some awful drivers out there. The power went out up in one of the neighborhoods nearby about a month ago, and people were just treating the stoplight like it was a free-for-all. And it's like, good thing I got a dash cam because it's not going to be me causing problems. Well, it's that time again, everybody. I'm very excited about this because it's something I only get to do once a year, and that is the Ig Nobel Prizes. As usual, we are several months late on this, but we didn't record a lot over the winter because we recorded a bunch in October and November. So it's fine. It's fine. We got there eventually. But the important thing to remember is that we are highlighting the incredible and immensely valuable research of these individuals. So let's go ahead and take a look at the winners. For our literature prize, we have Dr. William B. Bean for persistently recording and analyzing the rate of growth of one of his fingernails over a period of 35 years.
Whoa.
Just his own fingernail?
Yeah, just one of them.
Huh.
All right.
Yeah.
The literature prize is what that one is.
Yeah, that's what I want to check on because I'm looking at this now and I'm like, why would that be the literature prize? I don't think I got that wrong. Let me see.
Well, that's what makes it interesting.
It says the literature prize. I went on their website.
That's a mystery. Go solve the mystery.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because it ended up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different journals.
Oh, maybe.
It's very strange. Unfortunately, he is the late Dr. William B. Bean.
No.
But hey, good on him. Because you know what? I don't think I would have the patience for this. I'm just now noticing that these 6 journals are over the course of this 35 years. Because there's 53, 62, 68, 74, 76, and 80.
Huh.
So he published periodically as he got more and more data.
Yeah. As his fingernail grew, he was able to add more information. Well, the psychology prize goes to Marcin Jazenkowski and Gilles Gignac for investigating what happens when you tell narcissists or anyone else that they are intelligent.
Oh,
that's a valuable use of
that. Seems
Wow.
It seems like something good to know. The nutrition prize goes to Danielle Dendy et al. For studying the extent to which a certain kind of lizard chooses to eat certain kinds of pizza.
Why not a turtle?
Yeah,
I was wondering that myself, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Missed opportunity.
The Pediatrics Prize goes to Julie Manella and Gary Beauchamp for studying what a nursing baby experiences when a baby's mother eats garlic.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm intrigued by that, but I feel like it's also something I don't really need to know.
I imagine it would flavor it a little bit because,
Yeah, I wonder.
Garlic milk is really big at garlic festivals now.
Interesting.
I think I've heard of that.
Also, I don't think I like that.
Garlic ice cream. Anyway,
So I
sorry.
have heard of garlic ice cream. Well, Biology Prize goes to Tomoki Kojima et al. For their experiments to learn whether cows painted with zebra-like striping can be avoid being bitten by flies.
Oh,
I want to know if they did.
Yeah, I should have looked at, as I always say every year, I don't actually look at any of the papers or what they were actually researching. I just look at the headlines and let everyone else figure it out.
That's homework for the listener.
Yeah, they're just fun reads. Like in the past, I have gone through and actually looked at some of these, but yeah, I don't actually know the answer to that one, which I think is kind of fun. So, the Chemistry Prize goes to Rotem Naftalovich et al. For experiments to test whether eating Teflon, which is a form of plastic, I'm not going to read that. That's a big, long word. For experiments to test whether eating Teflon is a good way to increase food volume and hence satiety, make you full without increasing calorie content.
Satiety.
boy, yeah. Right?
Satiety. Thank you. Boy, I cannot say that word.
Polytetrafluoroethylene.
Yeah. It's really interesting because this is one I did sort of look into. But I didn't look at the paper, but what I looked into, because I had always heard that if you have like a Teflon coated pan, that the Teflon can be dangerous to eat. And what I found out is that this is not true at all.
Oh.
The Teflon is often considered the most inert thing.
Okay.
And since it is like the most inert thing, if it flakes off of your nonstick pan, not a huge deal, even if you eat it. What you do have to watch out for is if you heat your nonstick pans to temperatures of over like 500 degrees, which you shouldn't be doing. Like if you are heating, and I should point out, if you heat your nonstick pans and they are just empty, if you put a pan on the stove and just heat it up, just dry and plain, which you should never do, that's when it can be a problem.
Okay.
So apparently what I found out was that, you can eat Teflon. I presume that would help make you feel more full because you are just eating filling.
You're filling yourself out, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I guess the same idea as like eating sawdust. So,
it's right up there with that, yeah.
yeah.
Put a little garlic on it.
Yeah, Teflon and garlic.
There you go.
Nature's new seasonings. The Peace Prize goes to Fritz Renner et al. For showing that drinking alcohol sometimes improves a person's ability to speak in a foreign language.
I find that really hard to believe.
Yeah.
I sort of think it might make sense because I get the impression that if you think about speaking a language a little bit too hard, then it can trip you up. But if you are like just the right amount of drunk, then it like kind of flows out of you a little bit more easily.
I guess I could see that because you're less inhibited by your self-consciousness there.
Yeah. Because what it reminded me of is that I remember often playing like Dance Dance Revolution and other rhythm games like that. And there's a moment that can happen in those games while you're playing where you start thinking about the arrows or thinking about whatever's coming down on the screen. And that will mess you up. So it's like, you got to stop thinking about it and just do it. And that's kind of what I wondered if maybe what their findings showed. But again, I didn't read it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, that makes sense because like any musician that has ever tried to record themselves playing a musical instrument knows that is what kills your ability to play a musical instrument.
There's definitely a point where it crosses over, though. I have where you're too drunk to speak. There's got to be a sweet spot.
Eventually, you get too drunk to speak the language you already know, too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably a similar threshold there.
Yeah. The Engineering Design Prize goes to Vikash Kumar and Sartek Mittal for analyzing, from an engineering design perspective, how foul-smelling shoes affect the good experience of using a shoe rack.
Back to the good experience of using a shoe rack.
Mm-hmm.
From an engineering design perspective, everything about this, like, it seems like it means something, and I have no idea what it means.
You know what? Fair enough. The Aviation Prize goes to Francisco Sanchez et al. For studying whether ingesting alcohol can impair a bat's ability to fly and also their ability to echolocate.
It must, right?
I would have to assume so. But it makes them better at French somehow.
Yeah, those French-speaking bats, you know.
Yeah. And finally, the Physics Prize goes to Giacomo Bartolucci et al. For discoveries about the physics of pasta sauce, especially the phase transition that can lead to clumping, which can be a cause of unpleasantness.
No. That's valuable research right there.
Physics of pasta sauce.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting idea. I didn't read this, but I'm like,
Sure.
Yeah, pasta sauce is loosely like non-Newtonian in a lot of ways. And if you make it a little more dense, I bet it starts to cross over to a point where it's just not really all that much fun to eat.
Yeah. It's all clumpy.
Yeah.
Those were our 2025 Ig Nobel winners. The Ig Nobel prizes are usually given out sometime in September. So if you want to follow the action, make sure you check back in September. If not, I'll definitely be talking about them again sometime in the next year, approximately. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll definitely get the 2026 ones on here before 2028.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just good manners is what that is.
Well, with the Ig Nobel prizes out of the way, we do have a second question this episode, so I think we should probably move on to that.
Cool.
Question 2 this week comes to us from... I see what both of you did there. I see it. I see it. Question 2 this week comes to us from Cody. Why is cool the only cool word that will never stop being cool? Because cool is cool. It's definitionally true. Yeah. It's a tautology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is, right? Did anybody put any more thought into this one? Because that's where I stopped.
I do think it's interesting because I was looking at other words that have sort of gone out of fashion. Okay. Things like groovy and tubular. And it's a shame because I really like a lot of the words that I saw.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I have a list of words that have tried to, quote, usurp cool's position in the lexicon. Of course, cool doesn't care. It's a word. A lot of them kind of fit the same reason cool is interesting, which is that they are all slang terms.
Yeah.
And I'll get into this in a little bit, but like it's difficult to actually define what those words mean without using slang terms.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting to watch how these terms come and go as well. And I feel like, especially with a lot of the words that are out of fashion, you can sort of pin them on a certain decade.
Yeah.
Like groovy is very much like a 60s, maybe 70s kind of feel to it. And radical, that makes me think of like the 90s. I still say radical, but I don't know if that's a common thing for someone to say anymore.
You are a 90s millennial, and I have noticed that a lot of 90s millennials brought back a lot of 80s slang in around 2010. So there was kind of research because I noticed among our age group that rad started becoming like there was like a push to bring rad back around that era. And I still know a few people that say it, but like it's almost like the fight was lost because the younger generation came out with lit. We just couldn't compete.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that one of the things that I did kind of get the impression of is that cool is really timeless because it is so easy to say. And it doesn't have a lot of sort of extra meaning to it. So like groovy is a really good example, because the little bit that I was researching with some of these words is that, okay, so like groovy comes from the idea of like a record groove.
Right.
At least that was the impression that I got from my, 5-minute fact-finding mission.
Yeah.
And so like that is attached to an existing idea. And not only do we not really have records anymore, although they're coming back, because it was sort of conflated with something else that had a pre-existing meaning. Whereas cool is just kind of like, oh, it's a word that means this. And so it never really lost that new meaning that was foisted upon it.
Well, let me give you, so before cool really rose to prominence, the two or three that we could cite are swell, neat, or keen.
Those keen is a very 50s.
Keen is
that's very.
Keen actually comes from Old English, scene or cane. I don't know how to pronounce it, which means bold, brave, or sharp. So an admirable quality, usually referring to intellect. Neat means clean or orderly, so something that is well done. And then swell literally means to grow or rise, implying that something is becoming more impressive. So something is impressive or well done or something like that. And here's a little bit of history. I did some research on the linguistics of this here. Cool obviously refers to temperature, right?
Yeah.
However, describing a person as cool has been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That idea is often contrasted between expressions like hot-tempered or hasty. If someone is cool, they are relaxed, they are slow, methodical, confident. This gives the impression of somebody who is unbothered. And we have seen this used to describe people's intellect since as early as Chaucer, and then later in Shakespeare time. In Act 5 of A Midsummer Night's Dream, Theseus says, "Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason ever comprehends." So cool reason is not plagued by emotion, is contrasted by seething or overheated brains. So something being cool means, I guess it could mean without passion, but the idea is that it is calculated. Where we get cool in our modern usage started around the 1930s. It started appearing in American English as an extremely casual expression to mean something like intensely good. This usage also distinguished the speaker's apartness from mainstream culture. And that is similar to a later term, far out. Someone who is far out is not normal, not normal in a good way. Like they stand above the rest, I suppose. Cool was very common in Black English American jazz in the 30s and 40s, and really started picking up with the rest of the United States in the 50s. And there is a theory as to why this happened. Possibly just from media coverage, because that music at the time was really popular, so those were the performers that people would go to see. It's really difficult to pinpoint why certain words catch on, why slang develops the way it does, but usually we can attribute it to how the youth perceives it.
The youth.
Right? Well, they're the ones who are going to evolve the language, right? So
Yeah.
So a kid hears
the youth.
Well, so a kid hears a word. A kid doesn't care about racial divides. They just learn language, and then it becomes. Right. And here is a more specific citation from the same era. It's a different word. We don't know exactly about cool, but something that kind of rose to prominence in the same time is calling someone man. Like, what's up, man? Something like that.
Yeah. Hey, man.
We have a lot of data to suggest that man, meaning person, meaning a human being, has obviously been around for a long time, but the cultural use of man as a, for lack of a better word, cool thing to call someone really exploded in 40s jazz, the 40s jazz culture also, because Before and shortly after the abolishment of slavery in the United States, it was really common for white slave owners to refer to their slaves as boy, which dehumanized them, right? Suggesting they are not equal. And this stuck around for a long time to the point where it was common for people to use boy as a condescending term, even when it wasn't in a racial context. So the opposition to this was that it became really popular among Black Americans in the time to call each other man deliberately to build each other up.
I like that.
Yeah, this becoming slang really stems a lot from children hearing that and not understanding the history behind it, but just learning calling somebody man is a supportive, fraternal thing to say. It's a cool thing to say. So kids grow up and start calling each other man, and then it just becomes really common throughout our whole culture that's now a word that is very common. So that's sort of the history, and cool kind of rose in the same place as that. So with the history aside, I want to put forth my theory as to why cool remains cool. And I'm doing this on purpose because my main theory is that while cool tends to be defined as trendy or popular, or like I said earlier, intensely good, these don't actually capture like the cultural understanding of the word. So like I can point to like a character in a movie or in a video game or something, and I can tell you this character is really interesting, or this character is complex, and I find them fascinating, or I really, really like this character or something. But when I say this character is cool, it just conveys something completely different to you. And we don't really have a good word that is an official synonym to that. So that's kind of my main theory on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. It fills a really good niche that is, because it is now universal, I don't see a good way to dislodge it from that niche.
Right? Yeah, I don't know that it ever will, because I've talked to like younger kids discussing, when I was growing up, sweet was kind of a new thing, or we had sick, or a little older than my time, fresh was a really common one. And I was talking to a kid about lit, which I don't know if kids say anymore, but that was a big Gen Z thing, was lit. And I was saying, do you say cool? And they were like, of course we say cool. And like as if that's the tone. Of course, why wouldn't we? Because that's the word.
I think the undoing of a lot of slang is when it leaves the counterculture and becomes mainstream and kind of jumps the shark. And I feel like cool has already gone mainstream and survived that. So I'm not sure what would dislodge it either, because it's universal.
I think that's a really good point, because as soon as you started seeing television shows try to talk like Gen Z, they stopped talking like that.
And that's not even a new phenomenon. I mean, I see that going back many, many years. And because I work in very close contact with kids of all ages, I've seen for the last like 10, 12 years, longer than that now, boy, for many years, I see a lot of these fads come and go. It's so funny because recently we had the whole big 6'7" thing. And I am of the mindset that, when I was a youth myself and I went on the internet, my internet references didn't make any sense either. So I don't really care that 6'7" makes no sense at all. I'm like, let the kids have fun. They're kids. But I remember like the first time where I was in a room filled with children, and I was talking about our one of our electrical gizmo gadgets, and it's like, oh, it's 67,000 volts. And they all did the 6'7" thing. And I was like, I can never say this again. But that was only like 2 months ago. And now it's over. Like, it's gone.
Right. It's done.
And so one of my coworkers has been doing, the same show. What happens is that now they will say 67,000 volts, 6'7", is that still funny? And all the adults will laugh, and the kids will sit there stone-faced. And so it's so funny how, like, as soon as, like, I don't even think it's necessarily that as soon as it hits mainstream, but it's like as soon as adults start latching onto it ironically, then it
Yeah.
stops being funny.
Yeah.
Well, 6-7 is a very specific example, but that does
Yeah.
happen with, like, adults trying to be
Yeah.
relevant and stuff. But 6-7 has an origin in rap culture, but it also kind of, the joke was always it's nonsense, and if you try to figure out what it means, you're the one the joke is on.
Yeah. But I think that's also true of words too, though, because I feel like a lot of things like lit, once you start seeing adults just sort of using it ironically, then the kids stop using
It's kind
it.
of dies
Yeah.
off.
And I think fresh is another example where adults ended up killing that word.
So I watch a YouTube channel called Language Jones. He is a linguist who, largely who I got most of the information about the 40s jazz culture from for this particular episode. But I find it really interesting to study the evolution of language. And he did an episode, I believe the episode is titled, "Is Gen Alpha Slang Just Nonsense?" And he goes in, because that's the perception of, as Jim, you were saying, when we were kids, our slang was stupid too, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people my age or older that look at the slang that is current in high school now, and they say it's nonsense and kids are getting dumber or something like that. And
Yeah.
if you actually look at the origin of all the slang, one, it's not difficult to understand. Like if you can follow context clues, which we should have all learned how to do in second grade,
Right. Yeah.
it's not difficult to see what they're talking about, unless they're making a specific reference to a video game or a movie that you haven't seen. You might not get it. But when kids started saying fire, that code is fire. At no point was I like, what do you mean? Is it burning? Like, I
is
was
it
like,
actually burning the computer? Is the computer smoking?
Right. I was like, no, you clearly are saying something. It looks good. It is stylish.
Yeah.
It's very.
I feel like fire is sort of the Pokemon evolution of the word lit.
It's like in the same era.
Yeah.
But I found it fascinating, and I'll link this video. I just went and looked it up while we were talking, but I'll link this video in the show notes. He goes through what was at the time current Gen Alpha slang, and he shows you not only are the origins of all of the slang terms reasonable and sensible, they also aren't that different. In a lot of cases, they are just slang from the 70s and the 80s that has come back. So it is a little fascinating.
Yeah.
I want people to start using tubular again. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I haven't seen tubular. I've heard radical. I've started hearing groovy. I say groovy sometimes because I really like The Evil Dead, but
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I think that's really interesting just because being that I interact with kids of all ages, again, like on a very regular basis, like Monday through Friday, it's one of those things where I feel like I can pick it up pretty quick just hearing them talk. And so I always think it's really interesting when other adults that, I guess maybe either don't have access to kids or just are like, have the one kid, or maybe like two or three. The point is that, I don't know, it's not hard to figure out what they're saying because again, it's context clues. And then even being online for just a little bit, like, if you know what video games are popular, even if you've never played them, then you could probably piece together some of that as well.
Right.
Because what is cool is Minecraft.
Is Minecraft still cool?
It is, yeah.
I guess. Wow.
I think
So that's kind of
Minecraft is
impressive, too.
pretty timeless at this point.
I've never played
That's pretty
Minecraft,
impressive.
so I didn't know it was ever cool.
No, it's still very popular, and it's funny because like I didn't expect it to have this kind of staying power when I first had heard of it and when I'd first started playing it. But in a way, I feel like there are certain franchises that also take root in our society, like the word cool, and then they just kind of stick there. And this is just sort of one of those extensions of our culture where sometimes something sticks and then it just is stuck. And I think that, things like Minecraft is a good example of that, or Pokemon or whatever, but also the word cool. It's just stuck.
It's just stuck, and it's good that
Not
it
that's a bad
has.
thing.
We like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard that the way that memory works is if you don't access a memory often enough, that pathway in your brain sort of degrades to the point where you can no longer recall it. It's not of any use to you anymore, because to remember everything in your life perfectly would be totally overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I think of a culture as kind of similar. If you can think of the word cool encompasses a lot of different meanings.
Yeah.
There's a lot of words that you went over, Derek, that came before cool that cool has kind of like encompasses now.
Right.
So I think as like a cultural memory, maybe we only have space for so much, and cool kind of brings a lot in a small package, right?
Yeah, I think I didn't have a better way of describing this other than using the example of here's a character in a TV show that I think is cool, but like the one on the very surface, at least it tells you I think this person is interesting, or I am a fan of this person. But when I say something is cool, you have so many different portraits of a specific topic you can create with that.
Yeah.
That is like cool is, the rough anti-establishment kid sitting in the back of the class, or cool is the anime swordsman that can cut down a tree with one swipe, or all of these things fit. And those things are vastly different, but using the word cool conveys, I guess, your intention in addition to the description.
Yeah. I think a lot of slang takes specific forms of cool and qualifies it.
Yeah.
And we use it for as long as that is like useful or big in our culture. But then once those go away, we still have cool, which is like everything you need, and you can pick out a new quality to make lit or fire as you will.
Things can stop being cool, but cool is always cool.
Oh yeah.
I like the rule of cool is another kind of good example of that, because I've been in, like, I've watched TV shows or anime or played video games where something ridiculous happens, and if it's handled well, rule of cool applies, and it's this really just awesome cinematic moment. But if it's not handled well, it's like, well, that was just silly. So it's like a really unquantifiable quality that something has.
Also, rule of cool rhymes, so that makes it even easier to remember.
That's true. Rhymes are cool, I think. We talked about that on another episode.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but I think it's nice that cool is just a one-syllable word.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say, because I was thinking like, it's short, it's sweet, but also you can say it multiple times in a row and it flows very well. Because, you could have a 3-syllable word like radical, or you could be like, cool, cool, cool.
Cool, cool, cool.
And
we all watched Community.
Yeah. Now you know it's 3 times as cool.
Yeah. Well, it also fits, instead of saying something like 10-4 or copy or understood, cool is just affirmation that I heard you.
Yeah. And I think that because a lot of the other short ones that started off at the same time, so like keen and things like that, I don't think they have that sort of ability to be as dense as the word cool can be.
Yeah.
Because like if you try to say like, oh, keen, that was as fast as I think I could say it.
There's also a certain level of when cool originated, it came from counterculture. Whereas keen was always kind of, at least you mentioned the 50s, and it obviously existed in Old English, but when it was competing with cool for our go-to word, it was a very mainstream thing to say, whereas cool was our counterculture thing. And there's one thing about at least Americans, we love counterculture.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think that was a very cool conversation.
I agree. I'm out of things to say. I just wanted to make sure. Are we good to wrap up?
I'm all good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool.
How many times are we going to do it? All right, listeners. All right, listeners, let us know this week. Our roundabout's cool. Our intersection's cool. It's all cool, right? We're all cool.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any thoughts on that or anything else that you'd like to share with us, things that you'd think we would think are interesting or fascinating, or if maybe there's some other word I could use for that, you could let us know. You could let us know by sending us some radical emails to our tubular email address, feedback@vaguelyscientific.com, or you can comment on our Far Out blog, or you can like us on Facebook, or you hey Jim, where do we get all these wacky questions?
We get them from you, the listeners. And if you have a question that needs to be answered in a vaguely scientific manner, please email us at questions@vaguelyscientific.com. If you want to get our episodes the minute that they're released, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and all the other great places that cool podcasts like to hang out. That's in my ad copy. That's been there forever.
Yep. It's true.
But don't forget, another cool thing that you can do is subscribe, you could leave feedback, and you can tell your friends.
Yeah, tell all your friends. It's party time. Excellent.
Yeah. Our vaguely musical intro was composed by Anthony Pizzelli. And don't forget to check out our merch store over at vaguelyscientific.threadless.com. There are lots of cool designs over there that you can get on a multitude of different materials. This is untenable. We can never do this again.
You may be killing it. I don't know.
I'm ruining it for Gen Alpha.
Well, thank you to Mark for being our guest this week.
I had a swell time. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful.
Super keen.
Yeah, cowabunga. for Vaguely Scientific, I am Derek.
I'm Jim.
Oh, I'm Mark.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Toodaloo, everybody.
Bye. Did any
But
of
I
you
think
research
the
which
most
is,
important. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. You go first.
I'm going to change the topic, so if you have more to say on this.
No. I have nothing interesting to say.
That's not true. Just very interesting.
Quit being too nice to each other. Just go.
We've reached an intersection. We cannot decide who to yield to.